Stop for a second. Breathe. Because if this message found you today, it did not happen by accident. Something inside you has been restless for a long time. You tried to explain it away. You tried to stay busy. You tried to call it stress, memory, hope, maybe even weakness. But it stayed. It followed you into quiet rooms, long nights, and those strange moments when everything around you looked normal, yet your heart felt like it was waiting for something unseen. That is why you need to stay with me now, because what you feel is not as small as other people think. And what comes next may give a name to the pressure you have carried in silence. There is a reason this person still lives in your energy, even after distance, even after silence, even after all the times you told yourself to move on. Do not click away yet, because the truth is deeper than simple missing, deeper than attachment, deeper than fantasy. There are connections that touch the surface of life, and there are connections that shake the soul awake. This is about the second kind, and if your chest tightened the moment those words landed, then listen closely, because this may be the confirmation you have been asking for, and the part that matters most is still ahead. Your presence here is not random. You were pulled here because some part of you has been asking for peace in the middle of inner noise. For months, maybe longer, you have carried this feeling on your own. You kept it hidden because you feared people would call it overthinking. You feared they would laugh at the depth of what you sensed. But that quiet voice inside you never fully left. It stayed louder than outside advice. It stayed with you in the late hours. It whispered while you worked, while you walked, while you tried to distract yourself with everyday life. You did not invent this pull. You did not force this emotion into being. It rose on its own, and it keeps rising because there is something in you that knows more than your mind is ready to admit. What if this feeling is not here to burden you, but to guide you? What if this repeating ache is not confusion, but a sign pointing toward a truth your heart already knows? Stay with this thought because it changes everything. The mind wants proof before it believes. The soul often feels truth long before proof arrives. That is why this connection keeps returning to your attention. That is why every attempt to bury it only makes it come back with more force. Something inside you recognizes this person in a way logic cannot fully explain, and the deeper you try to deny it, the stronger that recognition becomes. You may have tried to quiet your own heart out of caution. Old pain taught you to be careful. Old wounds trained you to doubt anything intense. So you told yourself this could not be real. You told yourself to calm down, to be rational, to stop reading so much into the silence. But the truth kept returning because some things do not disappear just because the mind gets uncomfortable. Some truths wait. They circle back. They knock again and again until you finally listen. What your soul feels toward this person is not like ordinary attraction that fades with time. It has remained alive through distance, through unanswered moments, through long spaces where nothing seemed to move on the outside. And still, something inside you stayed aware. That matters, because passing desire usually weakens when it is not fed. False hope usually breaks under too much silence. But this bond has stayed present in a way that feels almost untouched by time. That does not mean every thought you have had is correct. It does mean the connection has a depth that cannot be dismissed as nothing. There is a strange peace hidden inside it too. Even when you are hurt, even when you are confused, there is still a quiet knowing underneath the noise. That knowing is important. It tells you this is not just obsession, not just fear of loss, not just loneliness speaking. It tells you there is meaning here. And meaning is exactly what your heart has been trying to protect. This is why the connection feels different. It does not simply excite you. It reveals you. It acts like a mirror, bringing out parts of yourself that were asleep for years. It shows you your hope, your fear, your tenderness, your insecurity, your strength, and your hunger for something real. That is why it can feel so intense. This bond does not let you hide in old habits. It pushes growth. It asks for honesty. It makes you face the places where you still abandon yourself, the places where you still settle, the places where fear still controls your choices. In that sense, this person did not enter your life only to be loved by you. They entered your life to wake you up. And that awakening is not small. It is not light. It can feel beautiful one moment and painful the next because real growth often breaks the shell before it reveals the truth inside. If you have been wondering why this connection refuses to leave your system, that is part of the answer. It has touched your identity. It has touched your direction. It has touched your future self. Some people pass through life like a brief season. Others arrive like a turning point. This one feels like a turning point because your soul understands that this meeting changed something permanent. And once the soul has been changed, it cannot return to the person it was before. Keep listening, because the silence between you may not mean what your fear has been saying it means. You may ask, if this connection is so meaningful, then why the distance? Why the silence? Why the long pause that has tested your heart again and again? These are real questions. They sit heavy in the chest. They visit in the middle of the night. They return when the longing gets too loud. But not every pause is rejection. Not every silence is the end. Some connections pause because both people need time to grow into what the bond requires. Sometimes life creates distance, not to destroy the connection, but to strengthen the people inside it. A love this deep cannot be carried well by two wounded versions of the same souls. It asks for maturity, it asks for healing, it asks for inner steadiness. Without that, intensity becomes chaos. Emotion becomes fear. Desire becomes running. So what feels like delay may actually be protection. What feels like absence may actually be preparation. This is the part many people miss. They think if something is meant, it should be easy from the start. But some things are meant so deeply that they must be prepared for. They must be cleaned of old fear. They must be built on stronger ground. And yes, that process hurts. It hurts to wait. It hurts to not know. It hurts to feel someone so clearly and still not have them near. But pain alone is not proof of failure. Sometimes pain is the fire that removes what would have ruined the future. Do not leave yet, because this next truth may explain the silence in a way your heart has needed. This distance has likely been training you in ways you did not notice at first. It has forced you to sit with loneliness without letting loneliness define your value. It has pushed you to face the fear that you are not enough, the fear that being left says something final about your worth. It has exposed the part of you that wants love to rescue you from yourself. And little by little, if you have been doing the inner work, it has started to change you. You are learning how to become whole in your own presence. You are learning how to hold yourself when no one else does. You are learning that love cannot become a cage if you are rooted in your own strength. This matters more than you think, because if this person returns before you build that strength, the old cycle may begin again. The same wounds may reopen. The same fear may speak louder than truth. The same attachment may replace the peace your soul has been trying to build. That is why this season is not pointless. It is shaping your capacity. It is making room inside you for a healthier form of love. And while you have been changing, the same kind of pressure may be working on the other side too. Even if it looks like avoidance, even if it looks like distance, even if their silence has made you question everything. Do not confuse silence with emptiness. Some people grow loudly, others grow in private battles nobody can see. And sometimes the person who looks unaffected is actually wrestling with the deepest storm of all. What looks like indifference from them may be a fight with their own fear, pride, and emotional walls. Some people do not run because they feel nothing. They run because they feel too much and do not know how to carry it. They run because the connection touches parts of them they have spent years trying to control. They run because being seen that deeply feels dangerous before it feels safe. If that is true here, then their silence is not peace. It is pressure. It is a battleground. It is the place where memory, fear, truth, and ego collide. The more they try to bury what they feel, the heavier it may become inside them. The moments they thought would fade may return sharper. The distance they created may begin to echo louder than the closeness ever did. This is why not every quiet season should be read as forgetting. Sometimes silence is where the truth gets louder. Sometimes space strips away distraction until a person can no longer avoid what their heart knows. That process is uncomfortable. It can break pride. It can expose weakness. It can force honesty. And honesty is often hardest for the one who has spent the most time protecting themselves. If you have sensed that this story is not finished, it may be because something is still unfolding behind the scenes. Stay with me here, because this is where many hearts give up too soon, right before clarity begins to form. The outside may still look still, but inside, something can already be shifting. There comes a point in some journeys where confusion begins to lose its power. A turning point. A moment when running becomes more painful than returning. A moment when denial becomes heavier than truth. If this connection is moving toward that point, then the next step will not come as a weak signal that leaves you guessing all over again. It will come with more clarity, more honesty, more weight, not from loneliness, not from impulse, not from a temporary mood, but from real inner change. That is what matters. A return means little if the old ego returns with it. A message means little if fear is still leading every word. But when truth breaks through after a long inner battle, it carries a different energy. It is humbler, cleaner, more direct, less defensive. It no longer plays games with silence and distance. It no longer hides behind confusion. It speaks because it cannot keep hiding from itself. If that moment comes, you will feel the difference. You will not need to force meaning onto crumbs. You will not need to build castles from half signs. It will be more solid than that. And until then, your task is not to sit in panic or count every passing day. Your task is to become ready to receive what is true without collapsing into fear when it arrives. That readiness is powerful. It changes the energy around you. It tells life that if something real comes back, it will meet a stronger version of you, not the one who first broke under the weight of not knowing. At the same time, pay attention to what keeps repeating around this connection. Not every sign matters, but some patterns stay because they are trying to wake your awareness. A dream that comes back with strange force. A memory that arrives out of nowhere and leaves a calm behind it. A song that appears at exact moments. A number that keeps returning when your mind drifts toward them. A feeling in your body that says, this is not random. Do not rush to make every little coincidence sacred. But do not dismiss what consistently brings deep peace either. That peace is important. Fear shouts and scrambles. Intuition is often quieter but steadier. It does not beg. It does not panic. It simply knows. And if your intuition has remained clear beneath your emotional storms, that deserves your respect. You are not weak for noticing the signs that stay. You are not foolish for sensing that something unresolved still breathes between you. Just remain grounded. Let signs point you inward, not pull you into obsession. Let them remind you to trust the deeper process, not lose yourself in fantasy. Because the goal is not to become dependent on symbols. The goal is to become steady enough to recognize truth when it stands clearly in front of you. And if the signs have grown stronger lately, if the inner pull has become harder to ignore, it may be because movement is building somewhere beyond what your eyes can see. This is where you must stay calm because excitement without grounding can make you misread the moment. Being ready to receive is not the same as sitting around waiting. It is not checking every hour for a message. It is not making your whole life revolve around one future moment. Read that again in your heart. Real readiness is cleaner than that. It is inner space. It is emotional stability. It is the ability to welcome love without abandoning yourself. You prepare by clearing what still blocks your peace: fear, resentment, bitterness, rigid expectations. The script in your head that says it must happen in one exact way or it means nothing. That script has to soften, because truth rarely enters through the door the ego demands. Real love does not always arrive in the style the wounded mind rehearsed. It arrives in a way that asks presence, not control. So release the need to manage every detail of the future. Stop trying to write the scene before life writes it. Stop bargaining with the unknown. What belongs to you does not need to be chased into truth. It needs space to arrive. And space only opens when the heart is no longer crowded by fear. This is also where forgiveness becomes necessary. Not because someone did nothing wrong, not because silence did not hurt, but because carrying bitterness keeps your spirit tied to pain. Forgiveness is how you free your own heart. It is how you refuse to let the wound become your identity. It is how you stop protecting yourself with hardness that blocks the very love you say you want. Stay here, because this next part is the key that changes the whole energy of the journey. Forgive the silence. Forgive the avoidance. Forgive the version of them that acted from fear. And also forgive the version of you that kept doubting your own worth because of it. You are not excusing what hurt you. You are releasing its power to poison your future. That is different. Every season of separation has shaped something in you. It has carved out maturity. It has taught you self-respect. It has shown you where you were still asking another person to confirm what only you could build inside yourself. That is not failure. That is growth with tears in it. And this growth is not a side note in the story. It is the story. Because the greatest gift of this connection may not be the return itself, but the person you have become while learning how to survive the pause, more grounded, more awake, more honest, more able to love without losing your center. If reunion comes, these qualities will support it. If reunion delays, these qualities still protect your peace. Either way, the work is never wasted. That is why you must remain steady now. The energy may be shifting. The signs may be getting louder. The inner knowing may be rising again. But do not let movement pull you back into old instability. Hold the peace you fought to build. Protect your clarity. Protect your self-respect. Let what is true come toward you without forcing it to run through your old fears. Because when something real returns, it needs a heart strong enough to recognize it, hold it, and not destroy it through panic. You were never being punished by life. It only felt that way when the dark hours stretched too long and answers refused to arrive. But sometimes what feels like punishment is preparation at a level the mind cannot yet understand. You were being lifted, refined, strengthened through a process that stripped away illusion and taught you how to stand in your own energy. The same may be happening on the other side. And if both of you have truly been changed, then the next chapter cannot look exactly like the last one. It should not. A real return must come with a new spirit, new honesty, new softness, new courage. Otherwise, it is not the turning point you have been feeling. It is just repetition in a different outfit. So trust this. What is meant for your soul will not ask you to shrink back into the version of yourself that suffered without learning. What is true will meet the stronger you, the calmer you, the wiser you. And if your heart has been asking whether the long pause is nearing its natural end, listen carefully to the peace beneath your fear. Sometimes it already knows. Sometimes the soul senses the shift before the world makes it visible. That is why you may feel both tenderness and pressure now, both hope and seriousness, both softness and warning. Something in you knows this story is reaching for a different level, and what happens next will depend not only on their courage to face the truth, but on your courage to receive it from a place of wholeness. So now, do not fall back into restless waiting. Step forward into quiet readiness. Let your days be full. Let your mind breathe. Let your heart stay open without becoming desperate. If this person is moving through their own breaking, their own awakening, their own surrender, then rushing the process will not help. Truth ripens in its own time, but when it ripens, it becomes impossible to ignore. And if that moment is near, you do not need to chase it. You need to be ready for it. Ready with peace. Ready with self-respect. Ready without the old need to beg love to stay. The silence you feared may have been shaping both of you for something more stable than what existed before. The distance may have been creating the exact strength needed so that love returns not as chaos, but as truth. That is why your task now is simple, though not easy. Stay grounded, stay clear, stay soft, but do not surrender your center. Release the old script. Release the fear that says nothing is happening unless you can see it. Release the bitterness that closes the heart before life can place anything new inside it. And above all, trust the deeper peace that has stayed with you under all the noise. If it is real, it will stand. If it is real, it will reveal itself. If it is real, it will come in a way that no longer leaves you begging for certainty. Until then, breathe deeply, protect your light, and let the next chapter unfold.